Welcome to another edition of PENSDOWN. This is where we sit with journalists and get to understand their journalism journey, the things they go through. Today I've been joined by a colleague. He is a multiple award-winning broadcast journalist and the Upper West Regional Correspondent for Ghana's EIB network. He cut his teeth in journalism at Radio BAR in Sunyani, and then to Radio Upper West, both subsidiaries of the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation, between 2007 and 2017. At Radio Mac and Radio Progress, both in WA, he worked as news editor and head of programs, respectively, between 2017 and 2022. He is a recipient of the following awards: 2014, Best Reporter for Water and Sanitation in the Upper West Region by the Community Water and Sanitation Agency. 2019, Best Morning Show Host of the Year, Northern Sector by Northern Radio Awards. Overall Best Presenter of the Year Award, Northern Sector. 2021, Best Morning Show Host of the Year Award. Overall Best Presenter of the Year Award. Radio Personality of the Year, Northern Sector by the Radio and Television Personality Awards held in Accra. My guest is a product of the Institute of Commercial Management, UK, and the University for Development Studies. Maurice Banaamwine is my guest. You're welcome, my brother.
Thank you very much, Mr. Stephen. How are you doing?
Very well, very well. It's great to have you here.
And also great to be on your platform.
Wonderful. I see that you have been in journalism since 2007.
Yes.
What has kept you going?
I will answer your question by saying that it is passion. Passion has kept me moving from 2007 up to date. And I have never been disappointed for choosing journalism as my career.
Does journalism pay?
This question keeps me mind-boggling whenever I am asked this question, in the sense that if they say journalism pays, it is a multi-dollar question.
Okay.
In the sense that journalism in itself is a whole entity, and the payment, on the other hand, is a whole entity. So if I must answer this question, I must sincerely say that journalism doesn't pay. It is all about passion and the love for the job.
What has been the most difficult assignment you've had to cover these 15 or almost years?
If I can quite remember the difficult assignment I could cover is within the WA East District of the Upper West Region. If I remember that day, when I have to go through a lot of hectic times to be I think it was all about what some community members were going through. And I must say, it is rural journalism. I can't forget that particular day. Somewhere in 2014, when I visited the community, I was told by the community members that when the rain sets off, I cannot go back to the regional capital of the Upper West Region, which is WA. And that information alone and that message I got from them alone was a motivation for me to get to the background of what was transpiring in that particular community. Because that particular day, they told me that when it rains, I cannot come to the regional capital because
Okay.
I'll be totally cut off from the Upper West Regional Capital. And these were the ordeals of the community members. When someone is sick and it rains heavily, there is heavy downpour, they cannot come to the regional capital to seek healthcare. Children in that community cannot have access to quality education. If I say quality education, meaning they cannot have access to classrooms and teachers on that particular day when it rains heavily. Drivers cannot commute vehicles to and fro from that particular community to the regional capital. So if you see the ordeal that these community members were going through, including the chief, they were very happy when they saw me at the community to get a full insight of their ordeals, to be able to tell the rest of the world what they were going through. And this particular community is Belepong. It is located in the Wa East District. And another one located in the Wa East District, which is called Dusé. So if you look critically at these two communities, what they are going through was too hectic. And in particular with the community called Dusé, that is where the then member of parliament, he's now a former member of parliament, that is where he was residing and coming from. So I had to visit the community to get a full insight of their ordeal, to be able to tell the rest of the world what they were going through. I visited that community called Dusé as a result of the member of parliament coming from that community. He saw the favors in the eyes of the president in somewhere 2007. That is former President John Adjekun Kufuor, and he was appointed at the latter part of the government of John Adjekun Kufuor as Minister of State in charge of roads in the Republic of Ghana. So they were very happy when they saw me at the community to be able to table all their concerns outside the community to the regional capital, and for that matter, to some parts of the world and Ghana as a nation. So this was one of the tough assignments I have ever gone through. And in fact, after the story, I did the story miraculously on their part. The member of parliament then listened to their woes, the regional minister listened to their woes, and as we speak, that particular community that was always totally cut off from the regional capital, contractors went to site and they started constructing the bridge. So as we speak, contractors are still there. The project is not yet completed. And the community members, when I went back there again, they were very happy because they have gotten some results for that particular problem that they were going through at the community.
What brought your interest into journalism in the first place?
Very interesting. When I was growing up, especially my journalism background started coming out when I was in my secondary school.
Okay.
I used to listen to Radio Ghana, and those broadcast journalists who were giving out the news, I like the style that they were presenting the news. So my journalism journey started all the way back in the secondary school, where I was always listening to news. And if I said news, I was always listening to GBC Radio Upper West, where I used to listen to GBC Radio Ghana, 6 o'clock in the morning, 6 o'clock in the evening. I used not to miss these two sections of news from Radio Ghana. And one interesting and miraculous thing was that I used to like reading a lot. And the library was my second home back at the secondary school. Even before I was admitted into the secondary school, I liked reading a lot. appointed by the senior prefect in consultation with the librarian and the headmaster of the school. So fortunately on my part, I used to visit the library a lot. So I was the person that was tipped by the librarian of, and then in consultation with the headmaster, I was appointed the library prefect of my school. And that started my journey. I said, indeed, this is very interesting. I never dreamt of being appointed as the library prefect in my secondary school, back at the secondary school. So I took that opportunity given to me as the library prefect of the school. I read a lot, and I used to read a lot of articles, a lot of books, to get a full insight and understanding of what journalism is. I sometimes even try to even move to town to get some of the political aspect of our country. That particular time, if you ask me, any minister of state in 2007, it will interest you that I will not miss any one of them. If you mention the minister of agric, I will be able to tell you who he was, the minister of health, the minister for roads, every sector I could be able to mention. So my colleagues were calling me the information minister inside the classroom.
Now you have done over 15 years of journalism. How many more
Yes.
years do you want to travel before you bow out of journalism?
As we speak, I am expecting to travel all years ahead of me. No matter where I find myself in the coming years, I think journalism, the passion of journalism is still in me. And as we speak, I don't expect to leave journalism anytime soon, because I love the work. I have passion. It has kept me moving. I have learned a lot. I have traveled a lot to see what people are going through, and it has helped me to be well informed and to also give the right information to the general public. So that alone is a source of motivation, and I don't think I will be leaving journalism anytime soon. In the coming years, I'm not going to quit journalism. Even if I find myself anywhere, I think journalism will still be part and parcel of me. That will be my daily bread, and I can bet my life forever and ever that journalism will be part and parcel of me till I leave this earth.
Should journalists be licensed?
Yes, journalists should be licensed. And whenever this question is thrown to me, I think in every profession, we need decency.
Okay.
To be able to grow, to be able to develop, we need decency. And if there is no decency in any profession, it makes it so difficult to be able to regulate that particular profession. As we speak, we have some professional bodies in Ghana that if you are not licensed, you cannot be part and parcel of them. So the case of journalism is not an exception. As we speak, we have seen the job being thrown to the dogs. Excuse me with my language. You see people doing journalism not because they have passion and love for journalism. They are doing journalism to satisfy their paymasters. They are doing journalism to be able to get what they want and not what they can do to help the larger society. And if these things continues to happen, when the leadership cannot control what is happening because it is not licensed. I think at the end of the day, what we all want to achieve in the field of journalism, we are going to fail. As we speak, we have seen the proliferation of media houses, the influx of media houses across the country. The radio stations, the television stations, the newspapers, some are owned by politicians and run by politicians who are members of parliament, who are cabinet ministers, ministers of state, and whatsoever. So now, when these people are managing these radio stations or television stations or newspapers, they have an agenda setting, and it's part of journalism. They have an agenda setting because I seated here, maybe it's not working for them, but someone is working for them. They will push you to do what will favor them, what will favor your paymaster, because that is where you get your daily bread from, my brother. So if that is the case, someone just wake up because they don't want to pay journalists in this country, excuse me with my languages, they will prefer to go for those who don't have any knowledge about journalism, just on the job training. They don't have any training from anywhere. They'll pick them to come and train from their media house just because they don't want qualified people or people that they cannot turn them to do what they want. So when they bring these people, they give them recorders, they throw recorders to them, they go out there to do all sort of things that goes against the ethics of journalism. We all know the ethics, and ethics is part of the courses of journalism. When you study journalism, you have to study media law and ethics. It is part and parcel of journalism. So if these people do not have any knowledge about journalism, they are giving the cameras, they are giving the recorders to go out there to search for news. You know, at the end of the day, what they will bring to the media house. So I think if it is licensed, if journalists are licensed, it will help regulate the influx of people just waking up, just washing their face. When they wash their face, they will just pick their recorder, excuse me, some of my languages, and they are just assigned to go to an assignment. And I have met several of them, my brother. To be frankly speaking, they cannot write, they cannot speak, they cannot ask relevant questions. But these are people that their media houses have asked them to represent them at these programs, these assignments, to bring back something to the media house. So you don't expect the person to perform magic when he returns back to the media house. So sometimes you tune to some of the media houses, my brother, you listen to some of the commentary that is going on there, and you pity yourself why you chose the profession journalism. So I think if it is licensed, it will go a long way to help everyone. Now we have GIBA, we have GJA, and we have many journalism associations. Now, even with these journalism associations, how are they regulated? How do they regulate the media houses under them? Do they just leave them to publish anything, or do they leave them to employ anyone to those media houses to work for them? That is another thing that we need to look at. Otherwise, we will be putting this country in a danger zone, and we'll be on a time bomb if we don't going forward, if we don't regulate by licensing journalists in this country. We have medical professionals who are licensed. If you are not licensed, you cannot be a doctor, and that is clear. We have lawyers in this country. If you are not a member of Ghana Bar, forget. So I think we need to regulate and also license our profession. Now we have teachers who are writing licensure exams. So if you don't write the exams, you are not a teacher. You're not a professional teacher. You have to write the licensure exams. You have to pass it before you are even posted. You are even posted to go and teach. So there's nothing wrong if journalists are also licensed in this country.
Okay. A lot of trained, qualified journalists are leaving the fold in droves. A lot of them are turning to public relations and even entirely different fields. What do you think is accounting for this trend? Why are we losing so many fine materials in journalism?
If you look critically into why these people are leaving the profession journalism and choosing PR, you don't need any soothsayer to tell you this. Now, we have a system that we call survival of the fittest. Man must survive. Woman must survive.
Yeah.
Some think journalism is not paying, just as you asked me.
Yeah.
If journalism is not paying, maybe you are at a media house, you have worked your entire life, almost close to a decade, 10 years, without even an appointment letter that details what you are supposed to receive at the end of the month, your monthly stipends. What are you sending home at the end of the month, at the end of the year? Because you have family that you have to cater for.
Yeah.
You just get up, bath, and just pick your recorder, just pick your camera, and just tell your family that I am going out there to do some work. I am going to the office. After the office, your family expects something home. You are not able to get that particular thing back home. So it is very difficult. It's a very difficult task as we speak. And the generation that we find ourselves in is survival of the fittest. Now, the senior most are moving to the public relation field because they think that is where they are well paid. Maybe where they were not well paid. So even as we speak, people are in journalism, but they are just always eyeing. Their eyes are always on the ball. If they just get any opportunity to be a PR, to be a public relations officer for this particular organization, I think he or she prefers to move there instead of risking his or her life for over a decade that has not brought anything on the table. You know that sometimes people risk their lives to get all the untold stories, to unfold the untold stories. So if you risk your life to bring the stories on the news desk, to bring it to your editor to publish, and at the end of the day, you don't get anything home, you don't get any daily bread, that means you have to find yourself in the public relation field. So that is why we see fine journalists across the country, fine brains, who we can also emulate and even train under, moving into the PR field. Now, when the person moves to the PR field, the journalism background of him or her is another issue to talk about. So survival of the fittest is the only thing that is moving fine journalists, fine brains, journalism field to the PR work. And we can count numerous of them. And the latest one from the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation, my senior brother, University for Development Studies, Abdulhai Momin. I have enjoyed every bit of his journalism style, and that has kept to speak. So if fine brains like him and many others are moving into the PR field, in the next 10 years, we will be sitting on a time bomb.
Politicians and political ownership of the media is at an alarming rate. A lot more politicians are now beginning to set up and own media platforms. Should we be worried? Is there a cause for concern?
Whenever I get any platform to talk about this particular concern, I speak with passion. I speak with passion and a little bit of emotion.
Okay.
It should be more than worry as a nation and as a country. As we speak, we cannot count the number of political radio stations in this country. We cannot count the number of political television stations, political newspapers being run by top politicians in this country. Now, aside the state media house, the state-owned media houses, even at the verge, as we speak now, even the state-owned media houses, in one way or the other, has equally been politicized. So you sit and watch the news that are aired on some of these state-owned media houses, and you feel like there is a little bit of politics that they are playing in the newsroom. You feel there is some political element within the newsrooms that are pushing a particular agenda. So if we do not take care, and I want to insist again, if we do not take care, in the next decade, we will have a different journalism in this country. Because if we allow politicians to own radio stations, and I have problem with the 1992 Constitution, it has to be looked at critically.
Okay.
To look at who should own a media house. We have these politicians, when they are in power, they are able to get licenses to operate television and radio stations. And the National Media Commission, who powers have been vested in to look at the content of these media houses across the country, they have equally become toothless bulldogs because they cannot perform their function the way they are supposed to perform their function, because the board is appointed by the president. Members are appointed by the president. So now, if I own a media house and I'm a member of the government, I can do whatsoever I can do. But the National Media Commission cannot come to regulate my content, or they cannot even close down my radio station or my television station because of what I am doing that are against the ethics of journalism. So now they just open these radio stations, and I can give a typical example of my region, the Upper West region, and my experience in some parts of the country. They just open these radio stations, especially prior to elections, and they have an agenda for opening the radio station. When they open the radio station, they recruit people who don't even have journalism backgrounds. They go to the radio station, they run 24/7 just to satisfy their paymasters. And at the end of the day, if you report to National Media Commission, they cannot do anything because the person has some people up there, his superiors or her superiors up there, who, when he or she calls, they will order National Media Commission not to temper of closing down the radio station because of the content that they are churning out. So I think it should be a very big source of worry. We have newspapers that are setting agenda. They will go out there to just denigrate someone who has earned a lot of reputation for so many years, that newspaper will just come out and publish falsehood without any facts, without taking any recourse, just damage the reputation of the person. We have television stations where we see politicians go there and sit and rant and tell people that if they see this journalist, they should beat him and come for money. National Media Commission cannot go and close down that particular TV station. We have politicians who sit on their own television stations or media houses and they just churn out anything, which I call garbage, quote and unquote, excuse my language. They churn out garbage to the public. And these media houses are supposed to be educating. They are supposed to be informing. They are supposed to do whatsoever that they could do to put government on check. But my brother, they don't do that. They rather turn into praise singers. They rather turn into PR officers of the government. And they are now praising the government. I don't have any problem with any journalist that is praising the government of the day. If whatever that they are doing is benefiting society, benefiting the people, the larger society, why not? We can praise the government and urge them to do more. But it has become a daily bread in our media setting in this country, where we see journalists who have turned themselves into public relations officers for political appointees, for the government of the day, for members of parliament. When they go, they just sit and rant, whatever that they will rant to satisfy their paymasters. And at the end of the day, they think they'll get something for what they have done. So I think this is what is killing journalism. And I'm telling you, in the next 10 years, if you don't take care, people who have interest, children who have interest to be journalists, to be broadcast journalists, will lose that interest to join journalism. Now, those who are not PR, who are putting government on its toes, you see at the end of the day, they unleash communication dogs. They unleash security, national security. They unleash people that we call vigilante groups. They unleash them on you. And sometimes you are battling for your life. Your media house at that particular moment maybe is handicapped and they cannot pick you from your current location to a different destination where your life can be saved. These are all the ordeals that journalists who do not turn themselves into PR, into praise singers, go through. If they want to put the government on its toes, if they want to ask all the critical questions, they'll turn around and call you an opposition journalist. And that is the problem we have in this country. Now, whenever a government is in power, you see people accusing some journalists, especially broadcast journalists, that you belong to the ruling government. You belong to the opposition party because of your line of questioning, because of your line of asking critical questions. They put you on one other side. So I think it's not healthy. It's not fair to do that, because if we are doing that, at the end of the day, journalism will not be that interesting profession that it used to be in the olden days when we were all growing up and were having interest to join it. So I think it should be a source of worry. The political radio station, the influence of political radio station is becoming one too many. That the National Media Commission should be empowered. But if that will be done, we have to take a critical look at the 1992 Constitution, because a lot of power is vested in the president. And that is why we find it too challenging to ask some of the critical questions about the setting up of NMC.
Social media is now here. How much of a challenge or how much of an opportunity does social media present to the mainstream media?
The social media is performing magic, if I may say, in the mainstream media. We used to have the traditional method of journalism, that is both radio, TV, and even the newspaper.
Yes.
We used not to have online media. But I can bet you that with the proliferation or even the traditional style of radio broadcasting, television broadcasting, and the newspapers have changed. We now have newspapers across the country. Now you will see, even after they have printed out these newspapers, to just take the front pages of these newspapers and they has skimmed over all the traditional style of media. Now, if you're on radio and you're not on Facebook, no one will get to know what you are doing at your little corner. You have to stream live on Facebook, and that is part of social media. Television stations are streaming on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and that is making it so beautiful. I am not home. I find myself somewhere, locked somewhere, performing other duties. But I can use my phone to watch news on GH1 TV.
That's right.
I can listen to Star FM using my phone through the Facebook app. So it has made it so simple and easier for people to have access to the media. That notwithstanding, it has its own disadvantages that it has come with. You now see WhatsApp, a lot of people, as part of the ethics, you can't go to the accident scene and take a video and just video of people's relatives and just publish it on social media. But we now see, because of the influx of social media, the phone is there. So people just take video, and within just 1-2 minutes, you see things that are not supposed to be on social media that are just circulating all over. And social media is not regulated. You know very well that WhatsApp is not regulated. Facebook sometimes is not all that regulated to the extent that they'll restrict certain videos, certain things that are not supposed to be on social media. You see sex and nude pictures all over social media. So it has come with its own disadvantages. That one notwithstanding, we must say it has helped in the line of journalism, especially when it comes to publishing stories. Now you can sit at your comfort zone, just write a story. Within 5 minutes, the story is all over the world. People are looking at the story. Within 5 minutes, your video, news report is all over the world. And a typical example is what we are doing, what PENSDOWN is doing. Without social media, I don't think we can be doing what we are doing this evening. So social media, it has come to stay, and we must accept that it has come to stay. That notwithstanding, we must see how we will regulate the challenges of social media that has beckoned our society as we speak. The nudity pictures, the videos that are taken, how do we regulate them?
Thank you very much. Let me pull the brakes here. It's been exciting having you on PENSDOWN. Truly grateful. This has been PENSDOWN, and today I've had the honor and the company of the Upper West Regional Correspondent of Ghana's EIB network, Maurice Banaamwine, and he's taking us through a number of issues. First of all, bordering on how he got into journalism, some of the critical things that have affected his journalism journey, and as well, he's shared perspective on pressing national issues that are of concern to the media. We'll be back next time with another guest, still talking about journalism journeys on PENSDOWN. These are conversations worth your time.